Are you prepared for grid down? Welcome back to Homestead Corner. Welcome if you are new here. I'm Jenny. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about I've got a list that I use to make sure, just like bullet points of things that we go over every now and again, just to make sure we have everything we need in case the grid goes down. And that's either short term or long term. I mean, a lot of times if the grid goes down for a couple of hours, it's just, doesn't really matter. For a couple of hours, there's not really a whole lot you have to do. You might need a little bit of lighting depending on what time of day it is. You want to make sure that you're able to stay warm. But we have a list, so I thought I would go over this. I had a request for this, so I wanted to go over it. And this can help, especially people that are new to getting prepared and being ready for emergencies and grid down situations. And also it's a great reminder for people that have been doing this for a long time. We get comfortable in the way we do things and we forget stuff. So, and I've been doing this for a long time, but I still refer back to lists all the time. I love lists. Lists are definitely my thing. I love them. So one of the first things that we have on our list is heating. You want to make sure that you have an alternate source of heating if you're not able to heat your home. So if you're used to running your oil or whatever it is, electric heat, a lot of people use tons of different things. Whatever it is, do you have a backup heat source, or is your heat source going to work in a grid down situation? And also cooling, heating and cooling, depending on where you are. In cold areas, you're going to want to make sure that you're prepared. If that heat goes down, you want to get right on, even within a couple of hours, you want to get right on getting some heat going if you're in a cold area, because keeping the temperature is a lot easier than letting it cool down too far and trying to bring it up to a comfortable amount. It's going to be so much easier for you if you have your alternate heating option available and you have quick access to it. So, because within a couple of hours, especially, I mean, we see minus 25 degrees sometimes in the winter, not regularly. It's normally 0 to 30 degrees in the winter, but at nighttime and in January, it gets really flippin' cold here. So, and I know the northern states across the country also have that same thing. And down in the southern states, you really have to be prepared for cooling your home as well, because it can still get really stinking hot in the winter. And you may need, some people run air conditioning year round that live in hot areas. So having that access to do it, whatever your thing is, and everybody's going to be different. So having that ready, heating and cooling, definitely, those are things that you really have to jump on when the grid goes down, because, it's going to be much easier for you to maintain what you have than to let it go way out of whack and try to get back to comfort. So the next thing that we have on our list, the second thing is cooking. Having your easy access to cooking, making sure you have alternative cooking methods. If you use electric stove and the grid goes down short term, or even if it goes down long term and you use gas, you may run out of gas. You might not be able to get more gas, or it may be so stinking expensive that you can't afford it. So having access to a second alternative, or even a third, fourth, you want to have multiples. We have a smoker, we have a campfire pit, we have rocket stoves, we have camping stoves, gas stoves. We have a whole bunch of different options. So we can, depending on what time of year it is, or whatever we need, we have different options available for us to do that. I wouldn't bring one of those gas burning camp stoves inside the house, but in the garage with a door open and stay right out there with it. Don't leave that thing running. But if you had to cook dinner with the door open on the edge of the garage, it'll keep you out of the wind and possibly the weather. You would have that option. So just nailing down, making sure you have plenty of fuels, and especially where this country is right now. I have heard on TV they are thinking about shutting down another pipeline that comes in from Canada, and that is a pretty substantial one because it brings in over 580,000 barrels of crude oil a day. That is a lot. When we're looking at that, even though they have also stated that they may tap into our reserves, that's only 700 million barrels, right around there. Don't quote me on exact numbers, but they're in those ballparks. So that's not, even if we tap into it, it's not going to last a long time. 700 million, 589 a day, it really isn't going to last long. So bringing down costs of fuel or making sure there's enough fuel, that's not going to equal out for a very long time. After a month or so, what happens then? So we need to be prepared for that situation with the gas, especially. The next thing that we have on our list is special needs items. Things for if you have a baby, if you have elderly in your family, anybody with disabilities, any of those special need items really that you use all the time and you're going to be dependent on. You want to make sure that you have plenty of stock of that. If you have a baby and they use diapers and things like that, obviously you want to have plenty of that. Formula if you need it, whatever it is that you use for those special needs, because we get excited sometimes and we're like, oh my God, yes, rice and beans. I want 300 pounds of this and 400 pounds of that. And we get in a one-track mind and we forget about these things, like the baby needs a variety of food, or grandma cannot eat rice and beans. She's on a special diet. So we want to make sure that we have those necessities for the elderly, for any kind of disabilities, anything like that. We have those and we're prepared if the grid goes down and we can't get to the store because they're not open, they don't take cards, you don't have cash. You should have cash. Always have cash in the house. Even if it's just a little. But all those things, you want to really pay attention to all those special little items that you depend on, and what is your life going to be like if you don't have it anymore. Number 4 on our list is power options. What do you have for power options? You want to make sure your battery banks are charged, you have fuel for gas generators, solar panels are in good working order if you're reliant on solar panels. Also, we like to make sure that we have extra cables if you need cables for anything, like from the generator to the solar panels. 1 or 2 extra of those. Things wear out and break down, and especially over time, if it comes to a longer grid down situation, if the power went out because of whatever, either planned or EMP or whatever, we could definitely have a long-term situation where there is no electricity. And if we are reliant on this, you want to make sure you have stuff to repair it, little gaskets and things like that. Make sure your generator is tuned up and ready to go whenever you need it, and be prepared for that. Also, in fuel for anything that you're going to use to generate that electricity that you're going to use. And you want to be able to prioritize your what is your electricity going to be used for. Prioritizing it. My solar generators, the kids are not hooking up video games to that thing. They need to understand that if we have to access this, then it is for, what is it for? What is it going to run, and what is it for? And that is it. And there's not going to be any extras for that. If you have extra battery banks, making sure everybody's on the same page of what you're going to use your power for that you're able to generate. That's another important thing. Number 5 on our list is communications. How are we going to deal with that? We like to make sure that we have you know, everybody's phone numbers written down, because when I pick up my phone, I want to call April, so I'm gonna press that button. But I don't know numbers off the top of my head. I can't remember my own phone number half the time, and you know, I don't call myself. But having those numbers written down on paper, everyone should have like a prepper notebook. We have a prepper notebook, and I will put a link up here somewhere, wherever it will fit, to that video. And it is just things that we put in there and things that we like to keep track of, binders, notebooks, whatever. So you have a centralized place to gather your information. So that is an important thing. And also, when the grid is down, you may not have access to the internet, things like that. You want to make sure you have your recipes written down. You have your different things that you rely on. I know I am really bad about, we do keep repair books for some items like car items and things like that. We keep on the bookshelf, but I am really bad about, if the dishwasher breaks, I'm right on YouTube looking how to repair the dishwasher. You know, what could it be? What's wrong with it? You know, and try different things. And we are famous for that. I love that. It's so easy, and you have that access. I may not have that ability to jump on YouTube and see how to fix something or find a how-to or something like that. So I think those things are super important. If you have something that could break down, obviously I'm not going to be fixing the dishwasher if the grid's down, but one of those things that if it breaks down, you're able to repair it. Having some kind of manual or something like that. How-to books are wonderful to have on your bookshelf. Canning books, preserving books, you know, foraging, things like that. All that stuff that you rely on, media, internet, communications. You want to have that stuff in hard form. And also, like, maybe you have a ham radio so you can get information, or one of these little radios. This is a little Eaton emergency NOAA weather radio. These things are awesome. They're solar powered. You can hand crank it. It's got the radio. They do everything. I love these. And you can even charge your little devices like your phone or whatever, because it does have the solar there. It recharges, and those are super handy to have. And so you've got that access. You can hear what's going on out there, but you want to hear what's going on. If the grid goes down and you're not watching TV, you don't have the radio or whatever going all the time, then if a war broke out, you want to know. Something like that, you want to know. So you're going to want to have access to that, and whatever there is that you can have. Move a little bit and get that sun out of my eyes. Whew, mama, that was bright. The next thing that we have on our list, number 6, is travel options. Making sure that you have extra fuel. You want to make sure you have extra fuel. If the grid is down for an extended period of time, the gas pumps are probably not going to work, because, you know, they run off electricity. And having maybe a bicycle or something like that, so you could at least get to the store if you needed something, and a few, whatever it is that you could use. You know, maybe you raise goats and you can have a cart and have the goats haul you off to the store. That would be really cool. And people do it and it works. But there are definitely different, whatever kind of option works for you, seeing that you have an extra type of transportation. If the grid is down for a long period of time, you may not be out, your job may be closed because no electricity. It really depends where you're at and what kind of things are going on. So having those different options can be really helpful. Hopefully you're close enough. If your job is open, you could ride a bicycle or walk there or whatever. That would be super handy. Number 7 on our list is cash. Having small amounts of cash handy is super important. I'm not saying go out and drag all your money out of the bank or anything, which that's another issue, is the banks. But in a grid down situation, your card is probably not going to work. The registers may not be working properly at your small convenience stores. And if there is something that you need, it is going to be super handy to have small bills and so a bunch of change so you can have correct change if you need anything. So having that available, we like to make sure we have plenty of change, small bills, not tons of money, but enough to get what we need, whatever it is. And because with the grid down, you just never know. They may have a generator to run coolers, or they may have a generator for certain things, but probably not everything in the store. And number 8 on our list is sanitation. It is very important that you have a ready-to-go toilet. If you are out in the country or on the city sewer, you want to make sure that you're prepared. If that goes down, how are you going to handle it? Indoor shower that you can use one of those bags, those are super handy because you still have to stay clean, and you've got to be able to take care of your sanitation and your toileting stuff. So making sure that you have everything for that. A way to wash yourself, a way to collect the water so it's not wasted. If you have one of those showers, you can stand in a bucket, collect it, use it to flush the toilet with. I mean, it's different things can be done to save and do things like that. So being prepared for that, having a toilet ready, having bags ready. If you're going to burn your waste, you could make sure you have a place to burn it. Things of that nature. You want to make sure all of your sanitation needs are covered. That is a big one that a lot of people don't think of, and they don't want to talk about it because it's gross, but you got to do it. And you could become very sick if you're not ready for this. And number 9, trash. How are you going to handle your trash? That is another big one that a lot of people don't think about. With the grid down, you may not be able to get the gas to go to the dump. You may not be able to have trash pickup. And with trash pickup, you want to be super careful, leaving your garbage out on the side of the road, and anybody can come by and look through your garbage. And when they see that you've got empty number 10 cans, or you've got all these empty candle containers or dead batteries in there, then I bet you have a lot more. You don't want to leave that stuff out by the road. You want to make sure that you're able to take care of your own trash yourself. A lot of people will use a burn bucket and, recycle everything you possibly can. And then whatever you can't to dispose of it, they will burn it in a metal trash can or a fireplace or whatever. But you want to make sure you can handle that, because the trash, putting it out by the side of the road for collection could be dangerous, or leaving it laying around could also be dangerous if the wrong person decides to look through it to see what you're throwing out. And number 10 on our list is pets. You do not want to forget your pets. It's another one of those things we get so focused on making sure we have other things. Some people forget, oh my goodness, what about the dog's special medicine that he has? What about special vitamins for the dog? Something that they use all the time. You want to make sure you have plenty of stock for them, and you're still able to do the things that you need to do to take care of your animals. And especially with grid down, other options for a lot of people use those electric fences, the ones that are buried in the ground. If you have that grid down, that's not going to work unless you have a plan to power that. And those take a good amount of electricity to create that jolt, and batteries for the collar, the whole thing. You want to try and think through all the things that the grid down could definitely affect with your pets, because they're relying on you. They need to be taken care of. They deserve it. They love you and you love them. So pets are a big one. It is definitely a thing that we definitely do not take lightly. Any kind of, if they take special things for hip and joint or skin problems, any creams, pets can require quite a bit of stuff. And if they need that, those are things that we look at and want to make sure that we have plenty of. Food, you can always feed your animals food that you eat. In a long-term situation, they're going to have to get used to it if you're not able to get pet food or their regular stuff. Sometimes the pet food that you are able to get might not be all that good. You gotta make sure you have that, so they're relying on you. Pets are a big one. And that is it for our list that we keep, that we refer back to this all the time to make sure when we're going over stuff, even if you've been doing this a long time, sometimes there's something we forget. Electricity runs our world and we are so used to it, and without it, we're in for big changes. And that's it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.